This is a new moon reading for the new moon in Aries, which happens to fall on my birthday. Very excited to read for you guys today. So, I pulled 5 cards, and the questions that I asked are: how are we procrastinating? What are we avoiding? You know, this is a new moon in Aries, which is kind of extra powerful because Aries is already a sign that is ripe for initiation. It's the first sign of the zodiac. And if you know any Aries the way that I know Aries, Aries is impulsive, Aries is an initiator, Aries moves fast. So when we're talking about new moon energy, we are talking about planting seeds, we're talking about initiations. And so having that Aries energy to support the new seeds that are being planted is going to be really, really helpful and impactful for us. So I'm asking, how have we been procrastinating? Which is another thing that Aries do because we are so impulsive and so erratic. It can be hard for us to focus on tasks that require more than our impulsive energy. So, how are we procrastinating? What are we avoiding? What aspects of the past are we clinging to as a collective? Um, what do we need to initiate during this moon cycle? Um, what do we need to release during this moon cycle to make room for the things that we're initiating? What is going to sustain our energy after we've made this initiation? How are we going to keep it up? And what next steps should we take? And so the first question, how are we procrastinating? What are we avoiding? I got the Hierophant in reverse. And so this is the Hierophant in reverse is speaking to a rigid attachment to rules and structures in a way that is causing inflexibility that is having a negative impact on your life. And so in this context, when we're asking what are we procrastinating about or what are we avoiding, we're avoiding releasing this rigid attachment to these traditions and convictions that are no longer supporting our well-being. There are a lot of systems, structures, institutions that have existed for a very long time that are outdated, that were never designed to support human development. And as humans or as a society, we have still been kind of going along to get along, participating in these institutions, in these structures, in these traditions that have no value to us. And so, what we're being called to do right now is to stop procrastinating on releasing our attachment to these things. We know that these things are no longer serving us. We're performing them anyway. We're participating in them anyway. And we need to stop procrastinating on that tip. We need to stop participating in customs, traditions, institutions that are not aligned with our highest timeline, that do not support our well-being. We can't continue to move mindlessly through this matrix. We have to ground ourselves in the present moment, and we need to respond intuitively to the things that arise in our experience. That's how we're supposed to live. It's in Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. It's all about now. We live in this moment. We ground ourselves in this moment. We look at what we have attracted into our experience because we have created this moment. Each of us is in an entirely different moment. Look at the moment that you are in and decide what you need to support your highest timeline, your greatest well-being in this moment. If anything that you are participating in is not in alignment, it's time to reject that, to get that out of your way. All right, next question. What aspects of the past are we clinging to? And for that, we have the Two of Wands reversed. And so this is about, and this is kind of connected to the first card. So the Two of Wands in reverse is speaking to long-term goals that we established long time ago. that we're still rigidly committed to. An example of that, most of us were raised to believe that, you go to high school, you go to college, you graduate from college, you get a job, you get married, you have kids. And so I'm 40. I don't know where you guys are in your timelines or in your life, but at 40, it's still, no matter what the decisions are that I've made in my life thus far that have gotten me to this place, I still have to remind myself that there are things that I haven't done that I don't need to do. There are things that I was conditioned to think that I should do that just did not align with the timeline that I ended up on as an adult. And so we're being asked to kind of revise our trajectory. Well, first of all, like these long-term goals, right? The establishment of long-term goals. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have things that you want, but if we're rigidly attached to some future that we designed when we were 12 years old, we're overly attached to that. And so we're engaging with the future improperly. The future is created through the choices that you make in the present. Your future is not created based on some long-term goals that you established for yourself when you were 12. So again, ground yourself in the present moment. Where are you now? Think about where you would like to be, what you would like to attract into your experience, and make the choices in your now moment that are going to get you to where you want to be. Instead of worrying about what might happen or beating yourself up about what didn't happen, ground yourself in the moment. Think about what you want. Think about what needs to happen to support your well-being and make choices that support that support your well-being now. We're not beating ourselves up about what we didn't accomplish. We're not trying to revise our steps to figure out how to accomplish these things that we designed for ourselves. Let them go. There's nothing wrong with stopping in the middle and starting over or starting something new. Let it go. All right. Now we're talking about what do we need to initiate in this new moon cycle. So for that, we've got the Knight of Cups, which is my favorite sassy little knight with all of the feminine energy. And so what we need to initiate is an attachment to our feminine energy. And this is not a message just for women. Men and women both possess feminine energy. And our feminine energy is what connects us with our emotions and our intuition. And so we are initiating the use of our sacral chakra in our decision making. And so this Knight of Cups shows up as a messenger. And so the messenger is going to bring things into your experience that are going to force you to initiate this sacral chakra energy. And so you're going to encounter a person, you're going to encounter an experience that is going to elicit some emotions within you that is going to inspire you to tap into your sacral chakra. What is your gut telling you? How do you feel about this? Your feelings are the only things that are real. How do you feel? Check in there, pause there, and then respond. So we're being asked to initiate this connection with our sacral chakra and using our intuition to make our choices. We're not being overly logical about this. We're not worrying about the future. We're not beating ourselves up about the past. We're grounding in the present moment, and we're using our intuition to decide what choices to make in our present moment. All right, next we've got what is going to sustain us after we initiate this. So after we start to make choices using our sacral chakra, what is going to sustain that energy? What is going to keep us in this place? And for that, we've got the Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles is signifying that there are going to be lots of opportunities. There are going to be lots of situations and things that come up. And all of these situations are coming up to give you an opportunity to sharpen your skills, to sharpen your ability to use your sacral chakra and your intuition to make your choices. And so it's about staying committed and focused to this. What kind of spiritual hygiene do you need to engage in order to make sure that your intuition is clear? And despite all the things that you're going to be receiving, all the people, all the situations that are going to be coming into your experience, you have to stay focused and committed to this initiation of your sacral chakra. So you're pausing before you make decisions, even if you've got a lot of them going on. I know and this is part of me being an Aries and being impulsive, I often want to make an immediate decision, give somebody an immediate yes, and then within a few minutes you're like, maybe it spoke too soon, didn't want to do that. And then you have to have a conversation and talk your way out of something that you committed to. So instead of doing that, instead of moving in that mode, we're pausing. We're assessing all of the opportunities, all of the people, all of the experiences that we've attracted, and we're pausing, checking into our sacral chakra, tapping into our intuition before we move forward, before we make choices, before we make decisions, before we take steps. We're moving slowly, we're moving carefully, we're not being reckless with our body, we're taking care of our spiritual hygiene so that our intuition is sharp. And lastly, we have what next steps do we need to take? And the next steps that we've got the Eight of Pentacles. And the Eight of Pentacles is about getting to work. He's literally making the pentacles. So it's a period, we're approaching a period of hard, focused, intentional, diligent work. And so you're using all of your natural resources, everything that you have in your capacity to make sure that you're doing your best work. So this isn't sloppy work, this isn't mindless work, this is thinking about our well-being, our highest timeline. This is work that supports that. So this is spiritual work. What do you need to do to refine your intuition? This is a period of really, really focused, intentional work. Now, when you're working really hard and you're focused and you're being intentional, you need to balance that with rest. You cannot show up as your best self, provide the best results, provide quality work and effort if you aren't properly rested and supported. So, again, it's a period of focus and intentional work that's coming up for us. That's the next step. The next step is to really buckle down and ground yourself in the work that is required, but to also make sure that you are finding balance between effort and rest. Happy new moon to all of you. I hope this message was supportive and helpful. Have a good one.